Released in 1996, this is the Nintendo 64. It's Nintendo's third home console and their first major step into fully 3D gaming. It arrived during one of the biggest transitions in video game history as developers were moving from flat 2D worlds into a new era of three-dimensional experiences. Nintendo wasn't just trying to make a more powerful console, they were trying to define how 3D games should work. The Nintendo 64 helped establish the foundation of modern 3D gaming. Its analog controls, the camera systems, and approach to open 3D worlds became the blueprint that countless games would follow. It didn't just bring games into 3D, it helped teach developers how to build them. The Nintendo 64 is known for games like Super Mario 64, the Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye 007, Mario Kart 64, Super Smash Bros., Banjo-Kazooie, and Pokemon Stadium. Many of these games are still considered to be some of the most influential titles ever created. Super Mario 64 became the console's defining title. It showed the players how movement could work in a fully three-dimensional world, using an analog stick for precise control. It introduced a free camera system that would influence nearly every 3D platformer that followed after. The Nintendo 64 controller became one of the most recognizable designs in gaming. It featured 3 handles, allowing players to hold the controller in different ways depending on the game. At its center there was an analog stick, helping establish precise, analog movement as the standard for 3D gaming. Underneath sat the Z button, a trigger placed naturally beneath the player's index finger. Built into the back was an expansion port, allowing accessories like controller pack, rumble pack, and transfer pack to expand what the controller could do. Combined with the 4 controller ports built directly into the console, the Nintendo 64 helped define couch multiplayer for an entire generation. Inside, the Nintendo 64 used a custom 64-bit NEC processor paired with a graphics technology developed in collaboration with Silicon Graphics, the same company known for high-end computer graphics used in professional environments and film production. The system featured advanced 3D rendering capabilities, including texture filtering and real-time lighting effects. It launched with 4 MB of RAM, which could be doubled using the expansion pack. While technically impressive, the hardware was built around cartridges, a decision that shaped both the console's strengths and weaknesses. The mid-1990s marked a turning point for the industry. Developers were learning how to design for 3 dimensions, creating new approaches to the movement, camera control, and level design. Nintendo led this transition with its own first-party games, while developer Rare became one of the most important studios on the platform. With games like GoldenEye 007, Banjo-Kazooie, and Perfect Dark, Rare helped define what the Nintendo 64 could do. The Nintendo 64 launched against Sony's PlayStation, and later, Sega Saturn. While Sony embraced CD-ROM technology, Nintendo made a controversial choice. They stayed with cartridges. Cartridges offered almost instant loading and greater durability, and made piracy more difficult, but they were also more expensive to produce and held far less data than CDs. This pushed many third-party developers towards PlayStation, where cheaper discs made larger games easier to create. The Nintendo 64 price at launch was $199 US. It sold approximately 33 million units worldwide. That placed it far behind Sony's PlayStation, which sold over 100 million units. But despite losing the generation commercially, the Nintendo 64 enabled some of the most influential games in history. In North America, the Nintendo 64 launched with only 2 games, Super Mario 64 and Pilotwings 64. For many players, Super Mario 64 alone was enough to justify buying the entire console. Today, the Nintendo 64 is remembered as one of the most influential consoles ever created. Its analog controls, camera systems, local multiplayer, and approach to 3D game design became the foundation for modern gaming. It wasn't the best-selling console of its generation, but it helped define what games would become next.